Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. Today we have our 2024 NFL Draft prospect, Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver of the Ohio State Buckeyes. So if you like the video, please come in and share it. And I'd like to give special thanks to my producer today, who's making it happen for me here on 100 Yards of Football, Mr. Logan Landers. Marvin Harrison Jr., 6'4", 205 pounds. That is a specimen at the wide receiver position. And when I thought about putting this video together for Mr. Harrison, the first thing I did, I went to YouTube last night. I watched the Hall of Fame speech of his father, Marvin Harrison Sr. And then I listened to what Mr. Harrison Sr. had to say, and he's a very soft-spoken man. Then I looked up his stats. Played with with the Indianapolis Colts for 13 years, had over 1,100 receptions, 14,580 yards, 128 touchdowns, a Super Bowl champion with the Colts. And I thought about this. I said, Marvin Harrison Sr. at the most is what, 5'9", 5'10". But when he was giving the speech, they showed his family in the stands, and they showed this young man as a 14-year-old. The gentleman already looked like he was on his way of being a football player. But what I like about the young man, he was a 4-star prospect coming out of Philadelphia, highly recruited, could have went to Penn State, Alabama, USC, Texas, but he chose Ohio State. And at the time, look at the receivers that came out of that program over the last couple of years, even this past couple of years, Garrett Wilson and Chris Avellay. And he waited his turn behind them. Then you think about all the receivers that's played at that school, man. Terry Glenn, Chris Carter, David Boston. And then I got to thinking about with the young man's size, 6'4", 205. I got to thinking about all the big receivers that's been very successful at this level. From Keyshawn Johnson to Michael Irvin. And even Marvin Harrison Jr., to me, has got a little bit of Otis Taylor, the late, great Otis Taylor of the Kansas City Chiefs. He got a little bit of that skill set in him. And then Eric Mose, that came out of Mississippi State. Then, of course, you got to throw, he got a little T.O. and Calvin Johnson. This gentleman right here is a special football player. And he's coming from great pedigree because his father is a Hall of Fame player, so it's in the blood. But you know his coming out party. A lot of people saying it was last year when he had 72 receptions for 1,263 yards, 14 touchdowns, averaged almost 16 yards a catch. But his coming out party was the 2021 Rose Bowl when he had 3 touchdowns. I knew then he was going to be special. And then you're looking at this year, he's facing double teams. Teams are game playing for him. He's still putting up 25 receptions, 499 yards, 20 yards a catch, and 4 touchdowns. But what stuck out to me so far this year is that he can be an effective blocker at his size as a wide receiver. Go back and watch the Notre Dame game film. But when you look at this young man's skill set, and you're talking about all those gentlemen I just mentioned, all those great football players, his skill set is tied up in all those great players. But what I like about him, he's super productive, A+. We can say he's an elite athlete, A+. He's got super soft hands, A+. Basic footwork, A+. And you know he got that from daddy. Route running, A+. Versatility, A+. Extremely competitive, and he's very confident. Got that from daddy. Strength. Now check this out. You're talking about a freak of nature. As Mr. Bobby Butler say when these football players come in the draft, freakazoid. Listen again, freakazoid, 380 on the bench. He did at 225, 20 reps. That's more than D lineman right now doing when it comes to the combine. 20 reps or 225. He can squat over 500. All that, A+. Very explosive, A+. Speed, 4.39, A+. Contested catch situations, using his size, A+. Surprising quickness, A+. Now, this is what I love when you want to be great. And your father was a Hall of Fame football player and had a great NFL career. You know, a lot of kids that come from this situation, they don't have the sensibility or the ability to work. Well, if you go to Ohio State and ask Ryan Day, or you go to his high school coaches at St. Joseph's in Philadelphia, they say Marvin Harrison Jr. has the best work ethic on the football team at the Ohio State Buckeyes. And you know what that turns out to be? Desire to be great, A+. I love the young man. I think when you look at all the wide receiver prospects that came into the NFL drafts over the years, I'm talking about from the days of Otis Taylor to the days of Anthony Carter to the days of Randy Moss to the days of Lynn Swann. This gentleman right here may be, in my opinion, the best up and down prospect at this position. And to me, he reminds me of another guy that played with the Philadelphia Eagles, Mike Quick, but he's a stronger Mike Quick. All I can say is this. If you need a high-pride NFL wide receiver, this gentleman can come in your organization and be the face and change that wide receiving core around. Right now, when you're looking at a lot of draft boards, they got him as the number 2 player taken in the draft, behind Caleb Williams on the 2024 NFL draft sites. This is a football player, man. And the thing about it, he's not playing at a small school. He's playing at a school that when you look at Ohio State, a lot of people want to give Ryan Day a hard time because he hasn't won a national championship. I'm going to tell you this, over in Columbus, y'all got a great situation with a great head coach, and he's pumping out great football players. And Marvin Harrison Jr. elected a school that's produced, I think, 3 quarterbacks that's winning the first round recently. The late, great Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, and the gentleman right now that's balling out there in Houston, Texas, and taking the state of Texas by storm and taking the whole league by storm, C.J. Stroud. That young man decided to go to Ohio State, and he wanted that smoke. David Boston, Chris Carter, Hall of Famer, Terry Glenn, Chris Avale, Garrett Wilson. Come on, man. Come on. Joey Galloway. We talking about that smoke at Ohio State. And this gentleman right here might be the biggest smoke to come out of the wide receiver position. So if you like the video today, please come in and share it. It's been my pleasure to talk about this young man because I want to get up and catch some passes when I see this young man from the Ohio State, Marvin Harrison Jr. do it. Special thanks to my producer today, Mr. Logan Landers. This gentleman right here is a football player. Marvin Harrison Jr., Ohio State University. God bless here on 100 Yards of Football.